Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about a topic that could be quite controversial. I have personally shied away from talking about controversial topics when I first started my channel, but since then I have a completely different view on that because the whole point of making content, especially on YouTube, is to talk about taboo topics. Conversations that make people want to hide are the types of conversations we need to be having. That is my true belief. And I feel like anytime I've made a video that was a little bit outside of my comfort zone, I got so much positive feedback from you guys. And even if it wasn't positive feedback, it did get a lot of attention. And I think that's because as humans, we are naturally drawn to things that are controversial, to topics that are taboo or stigma. So I kind of want to break that down and start sharing topics and videos on anything that has to do with dating or love or healing or anything along those lines. You know that I do so many different types of videos on my channel. Sometimes I do travel vlogs, sometimes I talk about self-development and books, other times I talk about my favorite perfumes, right? But today's topic is, do daddy issues actually exist? And the short answer is yes. Unfortunately, daddy issues do exist. First off, let's just talk about what daddy issues even mean, because I feel like a lot of people kind of throw that term around, and it is a very loaded term or phrase, especially in identifying someone. We tend to look at someone who is doing things that seem destructive, and then we'll say, oh, that person probably has daddy issues. Before we get any further, let me just say that daddy issues do not discriminate. Both men and women have daddy issues. There is such thing as mommy issues, and perhaps in the future I'll make a video on mommy issues. But today's topic is daddy issues. And it is when a child does not have a dad or a father figure in a really crucial part of their development. And this is like their early years into adolescence. Now, these years are super, super important for a child's behavior. And a lot of times we kind of get this perception, especially because now life is all about equality and everyone's equal and men and women are the same, which I feel like we are equal in worth, but we are different, right? That is my personal belief in terms of like the differences between men and women. I mean, I studied biology, so I learned about the core differences of the male species versus the female species, and there are plenty. So yes, we are equal in our worth, in the fact that we are images of God, but we are inherently different. And so obviously not having a mom present will affect a child much differently than not having a dad present. We tend to label someone as having daddy issues when they are kind of acting out, when they're acting like rebels, when they're going against the grain, when they are doing things that perhaps they shouldn't be doing, when they're acting certain ways that show that they have trauma. So these are the times when I've heard this term thrown around. I want to share a quote with you guys from fatherhood.org, and it is pretty devastating. So this quote reads, "There is a father absence crisis in America. According to the US Census Bureau, 18.4 million children, or 1 in 4 children, you guys, 1 in 4, so like 25% of children, live without a biological, step, or adopted father in the home." So once again, like I mentioned before, daddy issues doesn't just mean that the biological father is not present. It means there is no father figure. So there isn't a stepdad, there isn't like a mom's boyfriend, or even like an older brother or uncle, mentor type figure for these children. Consequently, there is a father factor in nearly all social ills facing America today. And what that means is that one of the core roots of all these other issues, which I'm going to mention just now, come back to this father absence crisis. So that means that this father absence is not only affecting these children, but it's affecting the entire society, because these children are coming out and they are developing in different ways and acting in different ways than the norm, and it is negatively affecting all of society. So I'm going to throw an infographic up so we can read through this together. And let's just kind of go down the list one by one and talk about what sorts of things that not having a father present can actually impact. It is not only consequential for dating and romance and that sort of thing, but it is negative in so many different areas of these children's lives. So first off, they're at 4 times greater risk of poverty. Traditionally speaking, the father is the provider, or the main provider of the house. So if there is no father, and if the father is not contributing via child support or alimony, then the entire family is potentially going to struggle, especially because a lot of these single moms then have to take on the role of being the sole caretaker for the kids. So they are not going to be able to pick up multiple jobs, and if they do, they aren't going to be able to afford having a nanny or a babysitter. So it's just so heartbreaking reading these. Teen pregnancy. They are 7 times more likely to become pregnant as teens. That is a huge difference. 7 times more likely. They're more likely to have behavioral problems, so that can be a whole range of things, right? That could be anger problems, that could be ADHD. They're more likely to face abuse and neglect. Speaking of traditional kind of roles for masculine and feminine energies, the men tend to be the providers and the protectors. So it is insane that those two things are directly impacted from a father being absent, because they don't really have someone who's looking out for them, who has their back, who's going to protect them and make sure that there's no harm in their way. They're 2 times at greater risk of infant mortality. They're more likely to abuse drugs and alcohol. They're more likely to go to prison. They're 2 times more likely to suffer from obesity, which I thought was just crazy. I mean, this probably has something to do with struggling from poverty, because if the family's struggling from poverty, then perhaps they can't afford healthy, nutritious meals, or perhaps they live in a food desert. They're more likely to commit crime, and they're 2 times more likely to drop out. I hope that this gives you guys kind of a sense of empathy for everyone. For everyone. It doesn't matter if they are lacking a mother, a father, if they come from a broken home, but we need to start having more empathy for people, because I think it's so easy to just say, oh my God, there's so many people in jail, or these people are on drugs, or these people are homeless, it's their fault, why don't they just get a job? And we don't realize that not everyone is awarded the same opportunities at birth. Literally at birth, some people are at a clear disadvantage. And this video, by the way, is not meant to throw shade to anyone. This video is meant to inform all of us so that we can be more empathetic, we can be more caring, and we can be more understanding of people who are going through these situations, instead of judging them and labeling them as having a certain type of issue when it is not their fault. It is not their fault that they were born into an environment where there was a certain parent that was not present. So in addition to the research that I found on fatherhood.org, which included the statistics from the US Census Bureau, I also found evidence about daddy issues in a book that is actually on one of the largest studies done on evolutionary mating. So they found that women and men who grow up in father-absent homes are likely to reach puberty sooner, so that means probably their hormones are getting affected, to start having intercourse earlier, and to pursue a short-term strategy after their sexual debut. So not only are these kids, going through puberty earlier, but they are having intercourse earlier, which could result in pregnancy. And they're also kind of going out into the world with a more short-term casual mindset when it comes to dating. So this can explain why so many people in today's world nowadays glamorize the single life and pursue short-term casual, hookups rather than long-term commitments, which are truly the most rewarding. The most rewarding type of relationship is going to be a lifelong commitment with one partner, but it's so unfortunate to hear about these statistics and these findings, and I really hope that you learned something today finding out this information, even if it's just being more understanding of other people and the issues that they're facing. And in addition to that, this also brings me up to the topic of a lot of individuals nowadays just saying that, oh, I'll raise a kid on my own. If they're talking to someone or dating someone and that person doesn't really want children, they are still trying to go through and have a child with someone who does not want to be a parent. And I think that that is so toxic. You need to realize that you making this decision of being a single parent is not only going to, make it more difficult for you, but it's going to make it more difficult for your child. Obviously, sometimes things happen. Let's say people get married, they had babies and later on they got divorced. That's one type of narrative. At least those people tried. But there are other people who already know that the person that they're with doesn't want to have kids, or is seeing other people, or is not really committed to them, and these people still want to go on and have children with individuals that they know are not going to be there during the vital years of the kid's life. So it doesn't matter if the parent is going to pay child support. It doesn't matter if you think you got it and you can do both roles by yourself. You are making a decision that is going to impact the entire society, right, negatively, because you are contributing to this sort of crisis, knowing that your kids are not going to have the same opportunities as kids born into a house with both parents. So I feel really strongly about this. You guys could probably clearly see that in just like how passionate I am about this topic. But that's basically all I have for you guys today. I hope that this was helpful. I hope that it was informative. I hope that you learned something new and that you can take it with you in your day-to-day life and just use it to uplift people and empower people, and instead of labeling them and judging them, just reasoning with them and understanding that it wasn't their fault that they had to go through the situation where they were lacking a parent. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to leave a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.